Today we're checking out the SpeedForm Tri-LED Upper Grille for the 2024 and newer Mustang GT and EcoBoost. If you are wanting to give your new Mustang an aggressive face with modern LED accents while keeping a clean Factory Plus look, then this grille is a sharp and direct replacement that's definitely worth checking out. This upper grille replaces the stock piece and brings in 3 LED light bars across each side, giving you a distinctive Tri-LED signature with daytime running lights and turn signal functions. The LEDs take the place of the factory grille lights, so the front end looks more custom without getting wild or out of place. You can run it with or without the factory pony emblem thanks to the included surround and bracket, so you can keep the badge or go badgeless depending on your personal style. Because it's built specifically for the 2024 Plus Mustangs, for the GTs and the EcoBoost, this is going to mount up perfectly to your grille locations for a rattle-free fit. This is going to be a fairly simple install process, so if you stick with me, we'll show you that install just here in a minute. Now when it comes to the construction on this grille, it's going to be manufactured from injection molded ABS using OEM CAD data. So it's going to match the factory bumper opening with an OE style fit. ABS plastics are lightweight yet very impact resistant, so it's very well suited for a grille piece like this, and the matte black finish blends nicely with the factory trim or other blacked out pieces you might have on the car. This is a ready to install kit, so you're going to be getting the grille, the wiring harness, the fuse tap, the emblem surround and bracket, plus hardware and cable ties so everything mounts solid and sits flush once it's on. Now as far as the pricing goes on this, it's coming in right in that mid $500 price range. That's a solid value for a full replacement upper grille with integrated LEDs for your DRLs and your turn signals. When it comes to the install on this one, it's going to get rated just a 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, and you can get this job done in about 2 hours of your time if everything goes smooth. So let's head on out to the shop. We're going to give you a detailed walkthrough of exactly how this install process goes.
Tools required for this install include a ratchet, wire crimpers, needle nose pliers, diagonal cutters, clip remover tool, Phillips head screwdriver, plastic pry tool, some zip ties and zip tie clips, an extension, 5.5mm socket, 7, 8, and 10mm sockets. Today we're installing a front grille on our Mustang, so let's get started. So the first step to getting our front bumper off is removing all of these 7mm screws in the front lip, and then there's also one hiding right behind it at each corner. So I've got a 7mm socket to pull all of these out. So take a 7mm socket, remove all of these. And do the exact same thing for the rest on the other side. Next, we need to remove all the clips out of the front side of our fender liner. So I've got a clip remover tool to pop those out. And then you can remove this little flap. We'll get this one out of here first. And then we'll keep working our way up towards the top. And then we'll keep working our way up. And then you can repeat that on the other side. So now you can pull back on your fender liner, and now right where the bumper meets the fender, we've got 2 10mm bolts. One's right here, and then the other's gonna be behind it. So you can get a shallow 10mm socket in there. And then with that one out, you can kind of see right behind it, there's that second one. And then you can do that same thing on the other side. Now we're going to come down to our side marker. On the other side of this connector, there's a black tab. Push that in and disconnect that connector. And then do that same thing on the other side. So now over on the driver's side, we need to reach underneath and find our bumper connector. Press in on that tab and disconnect that. Next, we can hop into the engine bay and grab a clip remover tool to pull out all the clips so that we can remove our rad cover. So we've got 4 clips up front, 2 in these pockets, 2 in the back. Pop all those off and remove your rad cover. And we're missing our clip here, but that would be your last one. And then underneath our rad cover, we've got a bunch of these 7mm screws going across the front of our bumper that we can take a 7mm socket to remove. So now we're gonna come back to the corner of our bumper. Right in between where those two bolts were, there's a clip holding this in. So I'm just gonna get a plastic pry tool in there, pry down to pop that clip out. Then do that same thing on the other side. Now at the top of our bumper, we've got our weather strip. We've got one clip right at the corner on either side that we need to pop off. So we'll just get a clip remover tool under there, pop that out, do the same thing on the other side. So now at the top of the bumper, we just have a couple pins that are holding this in. So we're gonna have to grab our bumper at the top, lift up, and then we can pull out. So now with our front bumper removed, we can start removing our front grille. I'm gonna start with the grille lights on either side. We've got some connectors, clips, and screws that we need to remove. So I'm gonna start by undoing our connector, push in on the black tab, slide that connector off, and then follow it back to this clip and take a clip remover tool to pop that out. Then we've got two 7mm screws that are holding this in. Just take a 7mm socket and pop those out. And then you can lift off that grille light. Do the same thing on the other side. Next, we're gonna remove the center bumper support. So we've got a bunch of these clips that we just need to press back on while we pull up on the support to pop those out. So pick a side to start from and work your way over. Got our first one over here. And then just work your way across. If you need to, you can get a plastic pry tool to help you out with it. And then you can lift that out of there. Now next we need to pop out all these white clips. We've got 3 on each side. They're in the same spot on each side. So just take a plastic pry tool and push down on the clip part and then pop it out. Do the same thing for the other 3. So now all the way around our grille, we've just got a bunch of those same kinds of tabs as that center support to pop out. Once again, it's just gonna be easiest if you work from one side to the other. So just pick a side to start on. Start popping them out. I've got my other hand underneath, so I'm pushing up on the grille as I pop these tabs out. So now we've got our grille free, but on each side we've got 2 clips that we just need to pop out. So grab a clip remover tool, pop those out of the grille. Same thing on the other side. And then you can lift up on your grille and remove it. Now that we have our grille removed, the last thing we need to do is remove our emblem. We've got 4 5.5mm screws. So I've got a 5.5mm socket. I'm gonna pull these out and we'll grab our logo from the other side. And I'm just gonna throw my hand under to grab it before I remove the last one. And then you can pull that emblem out. So now we're ready to install our new grille. I'm gonna get all of my tabs lined up and then we can press this down into place. So we're just gonna maneuver our grille, get all our tabs lined up. And then once they're lined up and in place, you can start pressing down to snap those into place. Now we're gonna reinstall our white clips. We've got 3 on each side. Just gonna push those into place. Do that same thing on the other side. Now we're gonna reinstall those grille lights. Slide those down into place, and then take your 7mm socket to run in your self-tapping screws. Before I tighten that one all the way down, I'm gonna get this one started. Do that same thing on the other side. So now I'm gonna install our adapter harness to the plug that would plug into our factory grille lights. You're not gonna be able to see them in this new grille, so we're not plugging those back in. And then we're gonna pop all these clips back into place. I'm gonna get my main harness sticking out here. And I'm just gonna let this hang out, and we'll install our main harness next. So now we've got our main harness in here. Now we've got 2 wires with L's for the left, 2 with R's for the right. If you're confused about the orientation, on the back of your fog light buckets, there's an L and an R, so you can just match it up with that. So the one side is gonna be plugging in to the adapter harness that we just installed, and the other one is gonna be plugging into the wire coming out of our grille lights. So we're gonna do that on both sides, and then we can start cleaning up our wires. Now we've got our main box in the middle, and then we've got our wire that's gonna connect to the wires going up to the fuse box. So to keep this nice and clean, I'm gonna have this sitting over on the driver's side. That way it's right by our bumper harness connector. When we need to take our bumper off, it's right there, and we can disconnect that to easily take it off. So I'm gonna take that box, I'm gonna go underneath of this harness. We're gonna double side tape it down here. I'm gonna run this wire down with it, put that out of the way, and then we'll clean up the rest of our mess. So now we have a roll of double side tape included in the kit. So I'm just gonna take a strip of it. Just gonna put one on each side of this box to hold it in place. If your bumper's super dirty over here, wipe it down with some alcohol before you put this on. Get that wire out of the way. Stick that down. So now we're just gonna clean up all of our wires. Now to do this, I have some zip tie clips. These have double side tape, so you can just stick them down. You can run a zip tie through them and then wrap your wires in them. So I'm just gonna run a few of these through this valley here. We wanna make sure that we're staying away from the clips that are gonna hold that center support in. And then just peel off that backing, stick it down. Run your zip tie through it. And then we're just tightening that down just enough to hold the wires but not pinch them. And then use some diagonal cutters to cut the excess off your zip tie. Now as I get closer to the driver's side, I'm gonna start bunching up some of these wires. And I'm just gonna throw one more right over here just to clean up the last of it. So now we'll get that center support in place, line it up with our clips, and then start pushing that down and in. So now we're gonna mount up our emblem. We're gonna start with the outer piece first. And drop your emblem in there. Flip it over, and then we're gonna reinstall the factory screws that we removed from our emblem originally. And then we're just gonna tighten these down. We just want them snug. You're tightening down into plastic, so don't hammer on it. And that's that 5.5 millimeter socket again. And then we've got the other half that's gonna sandwich this. We've got our 3 holes that we're gonna run our new screws into. So we're just gonna center that up. We're gonna get our emblem on the other side, and then we'll run our screws down into there. So we're gonna take our Phillips head screws and a Phillips head screwdriver, line up your emblem on the other side, and run in your screws. Line up your other 2 holes before you fully tighten down the first one. And then go back and fully tighten the first one down. So now we've got to do some wiring at our fuse box. We've got a fuse tap included in our kit that's going to be going on this red wire. The black wire we're going to get a ring terminal on and put to this ground post. The other side's going to be running down towards the ground. This is going to hook up to the empty connector that we had left on our bumper. So we're going to come over, pop the cover on our fuse box. We're going to pull this red one up first. And then we're gonna press in on these 2 tabs and lift, and pull out on these 2 tabs and lift. And then we're looking for our number 23 fuse. We're gonna pull that out, put it into the open slot in our fuse tap, and get all our wiring done. So now this 10 amp fuse right here is the one we're looking for. So grab some needle nose pliers and pull that out. And then we're gonna come over to the empty slot in our fuse tap, push it in. So then we're gonna grab our red wire, twist up the lead, stick it into the open side of our butt connector. Take a pair of wire crimpers and crimp down on that. And just give it a tug, make sure it's in there nice and securely. Then we're gonna grab our black wire, twist up that lead. We're gonna slide our ring terminal on, and then crimp that one down. Again, give it a little tug, make sure it's not going anywhere. And then we're gonna take our fuse tap, we're gonna plug it into where we took our other fuse out of. Push that in. And then we're gonna remove our ground post over here with an 8 millimeter socket. Pull that out, slide your ring terminal onto that stud. Start threading it back in, and then tighten that back down. And then we can put our cover back on. Now I would recommend cutting out a little hole in your fuse box cover for this wire to pass through so it doesn't get pinched. For demonstration purposes, I'm just gonna loosely put this back on. And then at that point, you can pop your red cover back into place. Then I'm gonna take my black wire, I'm just gonna run this down behind the fuse box, and then we'll run that down towards the floor. So now I'm gonna take the connector side of that wire harness. I'm gonna run it right under this rad support right here. I'm gonna run it down, and we have an opening right here where my finger's coming out that we can grab that wire, and then we'll pass it down behind our crash bar, and then underneath this flap, run it over to the driver's side to hook up next to our bumper connector. Now I'm just gonna run it down to right back here, and then pass it down below my crash bar, pull my slack, and then we'll run it over to the other side. So now I'm just gonna go right in between this duct and our splash guard, tuck that under, and then that'll come out right over here, right next to our bumper connector. So now we're ready to lift our bumper into place. One thing to keep in mind is you want this splash guard to be above the bottom of the bumper because those screws are coming through the bumper and up into these clips. Also keep in mind that the connector for your grill goes on top of the splash guard. And I'm just gonna kind of angle this up and in. Make sure that splash guard's up in there. Then we'll come to the sides, get that push clip, pop that back into place. So now we're gonna start up top. We've got that weather strip that we need to clip back into that one hole. And then we're just gonna thread in all of those screws. And then clip in your weather stripping on the other side. And grab your 7mm socket and tighten all of them down. Now these are going into plastic threads, so don't over tighten them. Next we can reinstall our rad cover and then all of our push clips. And again, I was missing that one right here, so I'm gonna skip that. So now we're on the driver's side. We can see our connector for the grille lights back here, and then also our bumper connector. Point that out now because I'm gonna block this whole thing once I get my arms in there. But we're just gonna reach in, plug in that bumper connector, and then plug in the connector for our grille lights. And then once you have that connected, we can start putting our wheel wells back together. So now I'm going to start with reinstalling those 2 bolts connecting our fender to the bumper. So I'm going to get both of those threaded in. Then I'm going to take my ratchet with the shallow 10mm socket. So now we're going to grab the connector for our side marker, plug that in, and then we can slide our flat back in, and then we'll start reinstalling all our push clips. Get the second one hiding right behind the tire for our flat. And just work your way up. And then you can repeat that whole process on the other side. And now we just need to come underneath and run in all of those 7mm screws. And now you can do that same thing on the other side. So that'll wrap up this review and install of the SpeedForm Tri-LED Upper Grille for your 2024 and newer Mustang GT and EcoBoost. Thank you for watching, and for all things Mustang, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.